All right, and welcome back to the Slice in 2023. First time we've said that. And welcome back to the show, people. I hope you had a great New Year's, Christmas, holidays, and I hope you're ready for the 2023 tennis season because we are here at the Slice. So, welcome back to the show. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. And today's video is different and special because it's the tippy top of the tennis calendar season. And I'm going to give you some 5 specifically predictions for the 2023 season that I kind of have been thinking about, meditating on over the Christmas holidays. So I'm interested to see what you guys think of these predictions. And obviously they're just predictions. So some of them are a little spicy. Some of them are pretty, logical. I tried to remove my desires or my emotions from this. This is just 5 things that I think will happen this year. Some of them we won't know if they come true till the end of the year. Actually, a lot of them. But I'll be putting it out on Twitter, and then I'll be following up with them as we go along, which is exciting. So I'm going to get into that. Firstly, favor from you: click the link down below to subscribe if you haven't already. That helps us out, and then follow all the other links. And we've just released and are now live on the site the Slice trucker hats, which we've got 2 here. We got the all black version, and then we got the black and the white. Very good fitting. I wear them out. I look smart, and you should too. So link below for those. You can support the show by just getting a hat if you need one. Protect yourself from the sun, protect yourself from the haters, and support the Slice. Appreciate your guys' support. So let's get into it, okay? Prediction number 1 here is going to have to do with the number 1 player in the world currently on the men's side on the ATP, which is Carlos Alcaraz. So my prediction right off the top here is that Carlos Alcaraz is going to lose the number 1 ranking in March, but win another major. So he's going to lose the number 1 ranking. I don't know who to, but I think he's going to lose it in March around that time. But he'll win another major and he'll continue to be a dominant force on the ATP tour. But I just don't know if he's going to hold on to that ranking throughout the calendar swing. This might not happen, though. It's definitely not a sure bet because of the fact that, and I say March, I guess, for the fact that Carlos only has 90 points to defend at the Australian Open. So obviously he had such a crazy year last year, but it really started in February, March when he won Rio, and then he made the semifinals of Indy Wells, and then he won Miami. And then that's kind of what really started his, wow, he's really here to play this year. It's not the future. It's happening right now with Carlos Alcaraz. And so then he went on, but we forget that he actually didn't play that many tournaments. I think he played, if I got it right here, just pulling up the rankings quickly, he played 17 tournaments, whereas Novak Djokovic played 14. So he actually really guarded his schedule compared to guys like Casper Ruud, who played 23, Stefanos, who played 23, Felix, who played 26. So he played a lot less tournaments, meaning he has a lot less points to defend. So that's, I guess, the first argument for that fact that he might not lose the number 1 ranking. But I do see him losing it to somebody like either Djokovic, maybe Stefanos Tsitsipas, maybe Rafa Nadal. But I don't think it's going to happen in January, which, because just looking at the points there, even if Djokovic won the Australian Open and Carlos lost in the first round, Djokovic still would barely be ahead of Carlos there. And I don't see Carlos losing in the first round. So anyways, I do think, though, when it gets into February and March, Carlos has 1,860 points to defend between Rio, Indy Wells, and Miami, which I talked about. So that's kind of a lot of pressure on him there. There's a lot of guys who can play great in those tournaments, especially if Djokovic ends up playing Indy Wells in Miami, and Nadal plays more than he did last year. I think you missed it. So there's just, from what I saw at the end of last year, Carlos was not dominating everyone else like he was at the beginning, although he was injured. So that's one of the most interesting stories coming into 2023 is the storyline of, is Carlos going to be fully back to health, and is he going to be able to play with the pressure of being number 1 and still beat these other guys on tour like he was doing last year? So my prediction, like I said, Carlos is going to lose the number 1 ranking in March, but win another major, which I still think would be a great year for him because he'll still be 19 for most of the year, which is absolutely crazy. My next prediction is Rafa does not win the French Open. I know. People are saying that every year. He's getting older. He's not going to win the French Open. I've thought that many years. in the 6 years that I've been covering pro tennis. But this year, really from what I saw at the end of the year, I know it's the end of the year and he never plays his best tennis there on the indoor hard courts. But I'm just making a prediction that this is the year where he finally slows down. He already hasn't won it. He lost to Djokovic, obviously, back in 2021. But I don't know if he's going to win it this year. To me, there's about 6 other guys, maybe even 7, who can really realistically say that they're a challenger for the French Open. I'm thinking about guys like Tsitsipas, Djokovic, obviously. Casper Ruud can make the final, as we've seen. Felix Auger-Aliassime, you got to throw in the mix there. Zverev, if he's fully back to health. There's just a lot of guys who can play well on the clay. And every year, Nadal's getting older. He's getting slower. And I think we did see a big slowdown at the end of last year, although he had such an amazing start to it, winning 2 majors back-to-back, getting to number 22 in the all-time major count. So yeah, that's just a prediction I have. I don't think he's winning the French Open this year. We will see, won't we? Novak Djokovic is my 3rd prediction. This guy, we all know him. He's back playing in Adelaide right now. He's won his first match of 2023. My prediction is that Novak Djokovic plays all 4 majors. It's weird that I have to make a prediction that he's going to play all 4 majors, but last year, obviously, that was not the case. He's going to play all 4 majors, and he's going to win 2 of them. So with the chip on his shoulder that Djokovic is, I'm sure, carrying, even though he might say, he's come through it in the spiritual way that he does, he leaves those things behind, but I don't think so. I don't think Novak Djokovic forgets the transgressions that he feels have been done against him, not being able to play 2 of the majors. I think he plays all 4, wins 2 of them, gets to 23 majors total. And then coming up here, I'll tell you where I think his ranking is going to end. But that's my prediction for Djokovic. I'm predicting a very strong year for Novak based on what we saw in the set. He won Wimbledon and he, got to number 5 in the world after only playing the amount of tournaments he did, missing 2 majors and 4 Masters 1000s. I think the big question at the end of last year was, is he the real number 1? I made a video about that, and it was, a lot of you thought he was clearly the real number 1, although the rankings did not show that. So now in 2023, he's going to have the chance to prove that he is, in fact, the real number 1. And I think he's going to have a lot of motivation to do that. So that's my 3rd prediction. Djokovic wins 2 majors, plays all 4. The chip on his shoulder really helps him get there. Now, Iga Swiatek, the most dominant player we've seen on the women's tour since Serena Williams. My prediction for her is that she wins another 2 majors. Iga continues to be the best player on the WTA, but doesn't win everything. There was that run last year from, the Middle East till after the French Open, when she literally just won every match she played. It was incredible. Followed it the entire time when we were in Europe covering the tour. I think she continues to be the best player, finishes the year at number 1, but doesn't win everything, but does stay clear of everyone else as the best player for sure on the WTA. Her ranking is super high, still compared to everyone else. She's got 11,000 points. Second place second ranked player, Ons Jabeur, is 5,000. So she's clearly the dominant number 1. She stays that way, in my opinion, but doesn't win all 4 majors, doesn't win everything. There's a lot of talent. It's basically impossible to predict on the WTA who's going to win what, other than Iga will be where she's been. I think she'll even get better too, but I do think the rest of the WTA will also figure out and be less scared of her than they were when she was on that incredible run last year. That's my prediction for Iga. Final prediction that I can say, I think I might have some pushback on this one. I think one of Felix Auger-Aliassime, Stefanos Tsitsipas, or Alexander Zverev will win a major in 2023. Some of us have forgotten about these guys, think they've missed their peak. Maybe it's not as true with FAA. He kind of seems like he hasn't reached his peak yet, but I think a lot of people with Zverev and Tsitsipas are kind of saying, well, now Carlos has won a major. You guys have been on the doorstep of winning a major for the last 5 years and haven't done it. But I'm not giving up on them. I don't think either of them have really reached their peak. I think Zverev was reaching his peak at the French Open, maybe last year, snapped his ankle. Can't really prepare for that. That would have been, that was, again, 3 hours after 2 sets on court against Nadal. Absolutely crazy. So that was that was a big question mark there. And I really think Stefanos Tsitsipas still has some areas in his game which he can really tweak, mainly the return and the backhand slice. When he can fix that, to me, he's still arguably the most dangerous player, one of the most dangerous players on tour. Didn't play last year at the Djokovic Alcaraz level. He was under it, but I do think he can get there this year, and I do think he can win a major, especially the French. Maybe without all the pressure on him this year of these other guys, he can play better, play more free, and get back to the final, and then we'll see what he can do. So I do think all three of those guys can win a major this year, and my prediction is that one of them will. So those are my 5 predictions. Like I said, I'll track them on Twitter. I'll put them out there. And then we'll see what happens. It'll be a long season. It'll be a long time until we can confirm if those went how I see them going. But that's just my predictions. I would love to hear your predictions of what's going to happen in 2023 season. And as said, now I will give my prediction now for the year-end ATP top 5 and WTA top 5. This is just my feeling of how I think things are going to shake down here. So let me know what you think. Here we go. We're going to start with the WTA. Year-end WTA top 5. 1, Iga Swiatek. 2, Coco Gauff. 3, Aryna Sabalenka. 4, Ons Jabeur. And 5, Lyudmila Samsonova. What do you think about that? Samsonova, one of the hottest players kind of around the mid-end of the season last year. Absolutely dominant. Big game. Love her game. Just crushes it. Ons Jabeur, and I think Samsonova can get better for sure. And I feel, the WTA is going to be impossibly hard to predict anyway. So this could be totally wrong, but I'm picking her out of the talent pool as one of the players who I saw, even with the Russian ban at Wimbledon, just playing super, super well. She has a lot of the game the game style that is doing well on the tour right now, meaning big hitting, baseliner, clean hitter. And she just seems like she doesn't get rattled at all. She plays very well in against tough opponents. So I see her sneaking in the top 5. Ons Jabeur, I see staying there, but maybe not being as high as before. Aryna Sabalenka, finding ways to improve her game. She showed at the end in the WTA finals, beating Iga Swiatek there. That's huge. She had great form there, and obviously if she can get her serve firing and not double faulting, and she can just get her game finely tuned, she can blow anyone off the court on the WTA. So I do think, she's still young. I think she's 24. She's still got ways to go up, I think. So yeah, I'm predicting her at 3. Coco Gauff, I do think, is going to continue to rise. She made 2 major finals last year. We're at 2 major finals, or at least 1. I'm mixing that up. Just a great year, obviously. She's still 18. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I do think she is going to be able to continue improving her game, the forehand. She's got the all-around game, the all-around athleticism that we've seen for such a long time. But she's just going to continue making improvements. And kind of, I don't see, this is my prediction, is that I don't see so many women going up and down in the rankings. I see the players that are going to be there kind of creating a pack that are the ones that are contending for the major titles. We obviously saw that with Swiatek, who is my number 1 prediction for the end of the year. But we'll see about the other top 5, who I'm predicting to be in there with Iga, who y'all know is just going to be on the top there. So don't worry about her. Now, ATP top 5 year-end prediction here. Coming at you. Novak Djokovic in the number 1 spot. I'm going with Novak Djokovic because, like I predicted, he's going to play all 4 tournaments and win 2 majors. And that is usually going to put you in the top of the rankings if you can do that in an ATP calendar season. This might shock some people. Number 2, Stefanos Tsitsipas. Number 3, Carlos Alcaraz. Number 4, Daniil Medvedev. And number 5, Felix Auger-Aliassime. People are going to say, oh, you're Canadian. You're clearly biased towards Felix getting in there. But no, I don't think I am. I think I'm literally looking at this being like, who can play at the level that he is going to keep playing at based on what we saw last year going into 2022. He can win on grass. He can win on hard court. He can win on clay. We've seen this. So I'm expecting more consistency from Felix this year, but he won 4 individual titles last year, 3 team titles. And I've just got really good feelings about him. Not because I'm so close to him, because I am, but just because I say, who else is going to be more consistent than him with the level of game that he can bring? That's my question. Then we got Daniil Medvedev, You remember Daniil Medvedev, just because he didn't win any majors last year does not mean he wasn't absolutely one of the baddest players on earth the year before. And he was number 1 in the world last year. It's different parts. So Daniil Medvedev is going to have a recouping season, I think. 4 in the world is not that high from when he used to be 5 in the world, but he has the ability to beat anyone on tour. I think he's going to get his mojo back in 2023, where he lost it a bit in 2022. All the weird things. Tough, brutal loss in the AO final, which he kind of choked away. Then injury. Then Russians not being allowed to play Wimbledon. He had a kid as well. We know that's a curse, apparently, for all the people who had kids last year on the men's side. So he's going to hang around, get better, could win a major. But he's definitely going to be in the mix at the end of the year better than he was this year. Stefanos Tsitsipas, like I said, he can get up there if he makes those changes in his game, and I believe he will, and he can. He's still, to me, like the best athlete in the top 10, right up there with Felix and obviously Djokovic. But he's got the weapons that could hurt anyone. If they are coming together and he can serve and hit his forehand like he can, it's literally when he's hitting his serve well, it's as good of a forehand serve +1 combo as anyone on tour. And it's literally unplayable sometimes. When I was watching him on grass, it was literally unplayable. But when he had a good returner against like Murray, who I watched in Stuttgart, he could just pigeonhole him into the backhand so much and have so much trouble slicing through it and keeping it low and then returning and getting into opponents' service games that he really had a weakness there. But if he can improve his return, which I think he can, and if he can improve his slice, which shouldn't be that hard, he can be a top 2, a number 1 in the world, winning majors. So that's my prediction. I think he will do that. I'm not giving up on Stefanos. And like I said, Djokovic, I see him. Someone's going to have to change my mind. Carlos is really going to have to step up and show this long-term dominance at the top if he's going to keep Djokovic away from the number 1 spot by the end of the year, because I think Djokovic really, really wants to get back there. I think he wants all the records. He said that before. And right now, I still feel like he is the real number 1. So let's see. These are my predictions. ATP top 5, WTA top 5. And to recap, Carlos loses the number 1 ranking in March, but wins another major. Rafa Nadal does not win the French Open. Novak Djokovic plays all 4 majors, wins 2 of them, and regains the number 1 year-end ranking. Iga Swiatek wins 2 majors, stays dominant, and one of Felix Auger-Aliassime, Stefanos Tsitsipas, or Alexander Zverev wins a major in 2023. Those are my predictions. Let me know what you think, and let's have a great season here on the ATP and WTA tours. Welcome to the Slice. Thanks for being here. Make sure you stick around all of our platforms this year as we head into the Australian Open. We got so much great coverage planned for you guys, and thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.